You know what? Sometimes the rules exist for a reason, and watching someone learn that lesson the hard way is absolutely beautiful. Let me tell you about the night a manipulative patient tried to game the system and ended up trapping themselves in their worst nightmare. Before I dive in, I need to give full credit where it's due. The nurse I was working with that night deserves a medal. She was professional, empathetic, incredibly patient, but she followed every single rule we had down to the letter. I was just there to help, but watching her work was honestly inspiring. So we had this patient, let's call them Sue, who was what we call a frequent flyer. You know the type. They'd come in constantly with symptoms that were, let's just say, medically impossible to fake. But we all knew. Every single person on that floor knew Sue was performing. And here's the thing. Sue and their partner Bill had one goal, and one goal only. They wanted strong painkillers. That was it. They'd refuse literally any other medication we offered. And oh, they made us work for it. Exasperated. One day, they'd only take pills with soda. Next visit, only through an IV. Then it had to be with apple juice. It was exhausting. Usually these visits would last maybe a day. We'd deny the painkillers they demanded, and they'd sign themselves out against medical advice. But this time they decided to dig in. 2 full days and nights. That's how long they stayed this time. And let me paint you a picture of what that looked like for us. The call button. Oh my God, the call button. They were hitting that thing so frequently, we're talking every single minute, that we finally had to tell them, look, you need to wait at least 10 minutes between calls, or we're escorting you off campus with security. You're probably wondering what happened next. They just sent Bill instead. Every 10 minutes, like clockwork, Bill would show up at the nurse's station. When that wasn't enough, they'd hunt down the charge nurse, then the house supervisor, anyone they could find. And the whole time, they're yelling the same thing to anyone within earshot. We need morphine and only morphine. They made that entire floor absolutely hellish. More than half of our time, was spent just dealing with them. Day 3 arrives and we finally serve them discharge papers. And my colleague, this saint of a nurse, gave them a full 6 hours to pack up and leave before we'd call security. I thought that was generous, honestly. But watch what happens. Hour 3 hits and Sue's trying to make themselves vomit, claiming they're too sick to leave. We can't give medication, though. They're discharged. Hour 4, both Sue and Bill suddenly collapse and pretend to be unconscious. Both of them, just lying there like stones, completely unresponsive but clearly fine. At hour 5, Sue turns on the waterworks. Huge, dramatic tears. And you know what? My colleague sat with them for 30 full minutes, calmly explaining that they couldn't stay, that they were perfectly healthy, that it was time to go home. And then Sue made the biggest mistake of their hospital stay. Sue looks up and says, "If I have to leave, I'll kill myself." Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. Every hospital takes statements like this incredibly seriously, as they should. Suicide and self-harm are not things we ever take lightly. My colleague's face shifted immediately. She called me in and she told both Sue and Bill, "You're not being punished, but we take these statements very seriously. There are protocols we have to follow for your safety and ours." And that's when we implemented every single safety precaution in the book. Not as punishment, let me be clear, but because those are the rules, and when someone makes that statement, we follow them to the letter. No phones, no cables or cords of any kind, no extra blankets or linens, no call button, no IV pole. 0 personal items. And they'd brought practically every electronic device they owned. No clothing except hospital-issued gowns. No outside food or drinks. And they had a mini convenience store worth of snacks in there. Both Sue and Bill had to check every single belonging with security. And here's the big one. They now had a sitter. That would be me, providing direct one-on-one supervision. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In the bathroom, in the shower, in bed, every single moment. They could watch TV on the hospital television. They could order food from the cafeteria that came on paper plates. And if they didn't eat it immediately, firm, we had to remove it and throw it away. Nothing could remain in that room that wasn't absolutely essential for patient survival. That room was practically bare. The look on their faces when they realized what they'd done was priceless. Immediately, and I mean immediately, they tried to backpedal. Wait, no, I didn't mean it. I'm fine. I want to go home. But here's the thing. We couldn't discharge them anymore. Not without a psychological evaluation. And it was getting late in the evening. The psych team might not be available until morning. They were stuck in a completely bare room all night long, with me sitting in the corner, looking absolutely smug, documenting everything that happened every 15 minutes. You know what? It was pure justice. After 3 days of making our lives miserable, of manipulating and demanding and harassing, they'd finally trapped themselves. Not because we wanted revenge. We were just following the exact protocols that exist for very good reasons. And my colleague? The nurse who handled this with such professionalism and grace? I'm seriously baking her cookies. She deserves every bit of credit for this. She was firm but kind, strict but fair, and she never deviated from doing the right thing. Looking back now, I think about how many healthcare workers deal with manipulative patients like this every single day. It's exhausting. It takes time away from people who genuinely need help. But we have to treat every situation seriously, follow every protocol, because we never know when someone's really in crisis. But sometimes, just sometimes, those protocols serve a beautiful secondary purpose. They teach people that actions have consequences, and words matter. Sue learned that lesson in the span of one very long, very uncomfortable night.